Good day, Junior Turkeys. This is Mrs. DeMailon speaking, and we are going to look at Activity 4, Debtors Reconciliation and Internal Control. So, Debtors Reconciliation. The following information was extracted from the accounting records of D. Brim Dealers for August 2022. At the end of the month, the debtors control account and the debtors list could not be reconciled. As an internal auditor of Debrim Dealers, you were asked to help with the reconciliation process. Prepare the debtors control account and prepare the debtors list for August 2022. And then, by making reference to transaction number 1, mention 2 control measures that should be implemented by the business before they can grant credit to customers. And then name 2 ways in which you could encourage debtors to pay their accounts on time. So, when we do reconciliation, it's remember the procedure of reconciliation. So first, we are going to have to check all our calculations. Make sure that we've added and subtracted correctly. Step 2 is to check that our layout is correct. So is the debits on the right side? Is the credits on the right side? And then step 3 and 4 is usually part of the transactions or the errors and omissions that is given to you in the activity. Also, very important to remember is this sort of layout. So, where is the mistake? Is the mistake in the documents? Then everything must be fixed. So, it's left out or the document was recorded wrong. So, then the control and the list must be fixed. If the error is in a total of a journal, then we fix the control account. If the error is posting to the debtors or creditors account wrong, then we have to fix only the list. So please have this set of notes in front of you or next to you when you do one of these activities so that you can refer to them and sort of become in that or have it as a habit and have it as let it come as such a second nature that by the time you actually do it in an exam, you do it or think this way automatically. Okay, so first step, we check that we've done our adding correctly. So we look at the 24,570 and we add up all our debits. That does equal the total. Did it carry over to the credit side? Yes. Minus all the debits did give us the balance carried down and brought down. And the same for the list. Did we add up correctly? Yes, we did. Is our layout correct? Yes, our layout is correct. The balance brought down is on the debit side. Sales is in the correct spot. Journal debits is in the correct spot. Bank and discount allowed must be credited. Debtors allowances must be credited. And obviously, journal credits must be credited. So now we need to look at more specifically at the transactions to find the errors and omissions. So errors and omissions are normally, as I say, is step 3 and 4. Looking at where the information is going wrong and what is happening. So the first transaction, Brimcombe's account has to be written off as he cannot be traced. So cannot be traced means bad debts. Bad debts is a general journal entry. So this will have to be entered into the general journal, therefore as journal credits and minus off his account from the list. So this transaction will affect both the list and the control account. Number 2, a payment received from S. van Greenen for R2,600 was recorded correctly in the journal and the general ledger, but was not posted to her account. So the personal account is an error, so therefore it goes to the list only. So van Greenen's account would have had to minus with R2,600. Then, number 3, the total sales column in the debtors journal was overcost. So total is wrong, therefore the control account must be corrected. Overstated meaning we have to minus it off. And then while the total of the debtors allowance column in the debtors allowance journal was understated with R390. So yet again a total of a journal, therefore the control account is incorrect. Understated focuses on, or meaning we have to add to that total. Then number 4, P. Lombard returned goods to the value of 1,120 rand. But the bookkeeper incorrectly treated this as a credit sale when he posted it to his account in the debtors ledger. So the journals are all fine and the general ledger will be fine, but the debtors ledger accounts, in other words, the list, is incorrect. So you'll have to fix it in the list. So Lombard's account was debited because it was treated as a sale instead of a return. So we must now cancel it and put it through as a transaction. So you have to minus it twice. So it's easier when you have these mistakes is to actually draw your little T account. So it was entered as a credit sale, so it increased instead of decreased. So you have to cancel and then put it through, correct it. So enter it twice on the opposite side, the minus side. Goods were sold on credit to J. de Melon for 3,550 rand. And this was entered correctly in the journal and the general ledger, but was posted to her account as 3,050 rand. So you have to get the difference between the two amounts. There's a difference of 500 rand that it's under. So you have to go and add it to the Melon's account. So just to recap, whenever you have two amounts that were, or an amount that was posted incorrectly, you have to get the difference between the two amounts, the correct one and the incorrect one, and then see which one was correct, the higher amount. So if it's higher, you have to add. If it was lower, you have to minus off. In this case, it was 500 rand under, therefore you'll add it back. Then a payment of 700 rand, which was received from Lombard, was in payment of his account of 770 rand. The bookkeeper neglected to enter the transaction in his account. His account meaning the list is incorrect. So 700 was paid for a debt of 770 rand. So 70 rand is discount allowed that needs to be recorded as well. So you need to record the full amount minusing off his account because he paid 700 rand, but it was in settlement of 770. Therefore 70 rand was discount. So now we go and we look at the layout of the accounts. So when we have, before you start putting down your final answers, you have to write down your layout for the debtors control account and then as well as the opening amounts for your list. And now you can go step by step and enter your transactions and your bracket calculations. So the first one is where we had to write off Brimcombe's account as irrecoverable. It wasn't entered anywhere. It's a general journal transaction. So you'll minus it off the list so that it will show a zero balance, but you'll also have to record it as journal credits. Why is it a journal credit? Because you're minusing the account, and because we are working with a current asset, debit is plus, credit is minus. So you have to increase the credit, increase the minus to take it away. Then the next transaction is where we had the 2,600 rand that was not recorded in Van Greenen's account that we still need to record, that was left out. Then the third one is the sales total that was overcost with 3,320. So you'll have to show your calculation by taking the opening amount of 62,670 minus your adjustment of 3,320 rand. And then in the same transaction, it was said that your debtor's allowance was overcost, so you have to plus the 390. So you take the opening amount, 24,630 that you get from your question paper, and you add the 390 rand there. Then the next transaction was P. Lombard, where we entered the discount as a credit sales transaction. So we have to minus twice. Once to cancel, wants to actually put through the return. So in total, you minused off 2,240 Rand. But ladies and gentlemen, please show the double minus rather than showing a total once off minus. Both will be accepted as correct, but the concept of minusing twice is what is tested here, and also for you to not forget. So whenever there is a incorrect debit or credit, you have to correct it by doing the opposite twice. And then we have the Mailon's account where we had to add 500 Rand because there was an error when we posted the invoice, and we posted 3,050 Rand instead of 3,550 Rand. So we just have to add a 500 Rand to the account of the Mailon. Then lastly, we had Lombard had a payment that was not recorded. The payment was 700 Rand, but there was discount of 70. So a total of 770 Rand is deducted from Lombard's account. And then the only thing that is left over is to get your final amounts. So if nothing changed, you copy paste the amount from your question paper. So the opening balance was given as 24,570 and nothing changed. So you put the same amount. Then you do your bracket calculation for sales and you get 59,350 Rand. Journal debits didn't change, so you put the same amount, 8,600 Rand. Then on the credit side, bank and discount allowed did not change, so you put the same amount, 46,410 Rand. Debtors allowances changed, so you must get your new total, and that's the 24,630 Rand plus the 390 gives you 25,020 Rand. And then your journal credits also changed from 2,110 Rand, adding 5,810 Rand, getting a new journal credit total of 8,120 Rand. Then you have to balance the debtors control account. So you add your debits and you get a big total of 92,520. You carry it over to your credit side total. And then you minus off all your credits and you get a balance carried down of 12,970 Rand. And then that balance carried down must be brought down on the opposite side to show the opening balance for the new month. Then you continue and you find your new amounts for your debtors list. So Van Grienen had 4,920 and 2,600 Rand must be minused off. So you end up with 2,320. Brimcombi must be 0 and don't put a dash. Show that the account is now a 0 figure. Don't just put a dash or leave it blank. Then the Mailon adding 500 Rand, so I give you 9,950. And then Lombard, you 3,710 minus the 1,120 twice, and then minus the 770 gives you a final amount of 700 Rand. And if you add up, you get a total of the debtors list at the end of August, therefore beginning of September, 12,970. And you notice that the total of the list here is the same as the balance brought down of the control account. Therefore, our control is equal to the list. Our reconciliation is working out. So yay, we know that we've done it and we can pat each other on the back. Then we continue with always with these questions. There will be theory about internal control. So make sure that you go and study internal control measures. It's always part of this section. Then, by making reference to the transaction number 1, mention 2 control measures that should be implemented by the business before they can grant credit to customers. So, that is where the customer's debt must be written off. So now, in other words, to prevent bad debts from happening, how can we prevent that? by obtaining the following information from the customers before approving their accounts: salary slips or advice, a proof of income. Then, excuse me, sorry for that. And that needs to be at least 3 months worth of information. Proof of residence, or address, which is usually a copy of the utility bill. Contact details of the family or friend not living with that person, because otherwise they can just lie and it doesn't matter. So you need a person not living with them. Then bank statements, 3 months with the bank stamp. And why is it important to have the bank stamp? So that it's verified that it's true. Then your identity document, a certified copy, yet again to verify that this is the person. And then a credit reference or credit history. So in other words, names of places customers has accounts at. So if they have other accounts, they must list them. And then email address. And make sure that you send a verification email to that email address to verify that this is actually that person's email account. Otherwise, they can just give up any email address and then just disappear the next day. Then name 2 ways that you can encourage debtors to pay their accounts on time. So first of all, give a positive incentive. So give discounts on early payments. For other words, your credit terms is 30 days less 2%. So if you pay within 30 days, you get a 2% discount or a 5% discount. Whatever the business decides is affordable for them. Then charge interest on overdue accounts. So this is if the account is not paid, let's say within 60 days, 5% interest will be charged. Then send regular statements and reminders. So once a month before the due date, a statement must be sent. And you can also send out SMSs as a reminder as well. And then they say, do not sell to overdue debtors. So if the account is overdue, let's say more than 90 days, freeze the account and don't let them buy more unless they make a payment on this account. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this activity. And remember, don't just throw your money away. Make sure that you do your calculations very accurately, and don't throw your marks away like money, like this chicken is doing, by not knowing the basics. So make sure that you drill in your formats and that you know it off by heart, because this section is the basics. Where you are losing your marks is because you don't know your basic concepts. So make sure you know all the basic layouts so you don't throw away your marks like money in the wind here. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening.